All right, welcome back, and this is our GMC Sierra tweet of the night from MLB Pipeline. Do the Pirates have MLB's top 2 pitching prospects? You see what you got with Jared Jones on the left, 7 starts, a 2.63 ERA, 52 strikeouts. He's been dynamic, and then Skeen's down in AAA with a 0.99, and that was actually lower than that. His last outing gave up a couple of runs, including his first home run, 45 strikeouts. If this is the case, Chris, if they have the 2 top pitching prospects on their team, it's amazing what it can do for you. Again, they need hitting. I don't think there's any question, because you don't want to have guys go out there and get no support, and then it ruins starts. We've seen so much of that already this year. But man, as you said, you put Keller third, and then Perez looks like a good fourth, and if Priester can get it, or anyone else in that organization, they have a pretty good look right now in terms of starting pitching.
Yeah, those 2 guys, you have 2 horses at the front of a rotation. You feel like, A, you're completely immune and prevented from going into any kind of protracted funk because one or both of them is going to snap you out of it. It's hard to lose a lot of games in a row when you have multiple frontline starters. If these guys are really good, maybe not for this year, but for next year, if they're really good this year, it puts the onus on Bob Nutting and Ben Cherington if this team, even with 2 good starters like that or elite starters, falls short of the playoffs. Don't you think, Bob, it puts the onus on ownership and the general manager to say, okay, we've got 2 affordable aces that not fell into our lap, but they panned out that way. It's on them. There's pressure at that point to spend some money to get some hitting if you can't fix your hitting problems internally, or if guys don't start playing better this year. You've got to go out and spend real money, because the time to strike would be right then, right now.
Now, you're preaching to the choir, because I agree with that, but also you may want to just trade some of your surplus prospects and get something, not unlike what Tampa does or what other teams in that position do. Whatever the case, they need more hitting, and whatever it takes to get it, they need to get it if this does go the way we think it's going to go. All right, let's go out to the phone lines. We have Jim in Peters Township first up tonight. Jim, how are you tonight?
Yeah, hey, the way I look at it, you got 3 studs at the top, and no one can question that. Now, they're hitting. It's probably going to get better. I mean, I say probably because, well, I guess it can get worse, but they're bringing Gonzalez up. Now, the thing about it is the bullpen has faltered a little bit, but, I mean, you're going to win. Baseball, you make outs 2 out of 3 times. You bat 2, in other words, so good pitching always stops good hitting. It's well known.
Yeah, it does. And it's, they have other guys in their bullpen. Luis Ortiz was one of those guys that we thought would be a reliable starter. Ronzi Contreras, both are in the bullpen now. And, Ortiz yesterday gave up 3 runs right after the Pirates had taken the lead. So those are guys they still hope for. I'm not sure where they actually, fall in terms of starting rotation now. They're in the bullpen, and I don't know if that's going to be their final destination or not, Chris.
In the case of Contreras, it feels like it will be. Ortiz, who knows? I'm a little bit disappointed in the way Chapman and Bednar have pitched. Bednar struggles early in the season. They got better, obviously, but he's not really David Bednar that we're used to seeing. It would be nice to have a Johan Oviedo, wouldn't it? A guy that you could plug in. He's rehabbing. Obviously, we know how fickle injuries are with pitchers. Their bullpen just generally, though, has not been as advertised. We could say a lot about the hitting, and we should, Bob, but if their bullpen had been what people thought it was going to be, you could probably flip their record by 3 or 4 wins, literally, at this point in the season.
Zach Williams on Twitter hits us up and says Pirates should have signed Jock Peterson. Arizona linked him for 1 year, $12.5 million. I talked about Bellinger going to the Cubs. That was like $16 million a year. These are prices that you can pay, and they're reasonable. They're not long-term, and I suspect that's what you were talking about, right? Just guys you could bring in for a year or 2 who actually have a pedigree, not just some journeyman who's been in his late 30s trying to hang on forever.
Yeah, I'll be clear here. You can't just say, well, go pay them and they have to come here. These guys are free agents. That means they get to pick. But if you have 2 pitchers here you're not going to pay a lot of money to for several years here relative to their level of performance, Bob, and really if Mitch Keller's a really good number 3, his deal is pretty team-friendly, then go out and overpay like Rhys Hoskins. Maybe he didn't want to come here, right? Make him an offer he can't refuse if he is clearly better than the next option on the list. Just to use him as an example, like overpay for guys that might not otherwise come here because you've got the pitchers on cheap team-friendly deals for the time being.
Yeah, it's kind of like having a rookie quarterback like Kansas City had with Mahomes.
100%.
And they, go out and get him, surround him with talent. You have the same thing here, Pot. If you know you're going to get two guys who are going to be out there and every time give you a good quality start, then you absolutely should do that. Back to the lines we go. We have another Jim. This Jim is in Shaler. Hey, Jim, how are you?
Hey guys, how you doing tonight?
Good.
Hey, what I want to talk about is who is the Pirates? I know he's been in the system for about 20 years. They're Major Scott down there. He drafts these guys. I think it's time for them to get themselves a new director down there for that, because their talent for bringing up the offense has not been very good over the past 20 years.
Yeah, it's either, I put a lot of onus on developing as much as I do drafting. At some point, you've got to see the results of this. And from a hitting point of view, I know they put a premium on pitching, Chris, but they haven't had many bats come around here who have been, homegrown bats that have lasted for a very long time.
Unless I'm completely insane, it's still Joe Delicari who is their head scout. And I know Larry Broadway was a guy that I used to be very frustrated with because he was like the player development guy. I think he got reassigned to a different position. I got to honestly say here, I haven't checked on either of those positions or thought about them in a while, but their development, Bob, big picture, is the thing we should be talking about. Hitting has changed. You would agree, just like pitching's changed. Pitching's become all about strikeouts, limit home runs, etc. Hitting's all about trying to hit home runs now, and the art of hitting has kind of gone away. They've got to find a hitting coach. They've got to find an organizational philosophy that finds a little bit of a happier medium than what they're putting up at the big league level, which is just, what is it basically at this point? You hope one inning they get 2 or 3 guys on base and hit a 3-run jack or a grand slam because the rest of the innings they're not stringing anything together.
Right. Well, we saw that in this last series. They had a 3-run double by Cruz in 1 inning. That was it. And then before that, it was a grand slam by Olivares, and that was it. The other innings produced nothing. John in Carnegie joins us right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Hey, John.
Hey, guys. I was calling to talk about possibly getting a guy like Marlon Byrd or Russell Martin, and also congratulate Mosey's wife on her award tonight.
Yeah, I saw that. I congratulated her, too. Alex doing some good work over there. Those are the people who are kind of unsung, and they play a vital role, I think, in our communities.
Very unsung, all nurses, whether they were nominated tonight or not, whether they work at Alex's Hospital or any other one, they are heroes of the community. Very proud of my lovely wife. She richly deserved this. Bob, we get to do a fun job. They get to do a real job, and it's a difficult job. And I think pretty much every nurse approaches it with compassion and dignity and care for their patients. So big shout out to my wife, but also to all nurses. On a night like tonight. We probably should be doing that more often.
Alex is,
thank you.
Tell her we said so, and a lot of them out there, they are unsung. I've been in hospitals enough to know how important they are. Let's go to Ryan in Beaver, who joins us right now. Hey, Ryan, what's going on tonight?
Hello. I have a quick note about the Pirates. I'm old enough to remember the Dodgers through the 60s, and they didn't have much hitting, but they had Koufax and Drysdale. So pitching can take you away as far.
Yeah. Well, that's also the literal greatest 1-2 punch probably in Major League history, this side of Schilling and Johnson in the modern era. So, yes, if you have the greatest 1-2 pitching punch of all time, arguably, yes, it can take you places. I laugh because who knows if Jared Jones and Skeens will even come close to any of that. He's not wrong, but you can't. It's one thing to say, Bob, like pitching can take you places and great pitching beats great hitting because both of those are truisms. It's another thing to just kind of say, well, we got the great pitching, we're not going to do anything else. That doesn't excuse you or whatever, strip you of the responsibility of trying to go out and get good hitting. Because guess what? This is going to be a shocker. If you combine elite frontline starting pitching with great hitting, do you know what you have? A very possible World Series champion.
And it may be closer than we think if these two do what they're supposed to do. And that's a good comparison when you had Schilling and Johnson, both terrific at the top, and Arizona wins the championship. I think back to the days of the 90s with Avery, Smoltz, and Glavine, those guys with the Braves, and watching them torment the Pirates.
Maddox.
And Maddox, all of them. I mean, they're just terrific. So if you have that, it's a huge advantage. But you shouldn't think that, oh, because we have it, we don't have to score many runs, therefore we can win 2-1. No, what you do is you try to go out and add to it. Real quick, let's go to Jake in Brentwood. Jake, thank you for calling. What's up?
Hey, what about next season? I mean, I see pending free agent first baseman Pete Alonso. I mean, he would kill it at PNC Park. I mean, they're going to have the starting pitch, and like you said, you're not paying them. Or, get a package together with Mike Burrows, maybe Bubba Chandler, and one other guy.
Yeah,
bring in a starter.
Listen, I wouldn't have any problem trading draft pick or people that I have in my organization who are on my list. You see all these times, Chris, where people make these trades where they got 2 of the Padres' top 10, whatever the case may be. If the Pirates are willing to give up a couple of their, bluer chip, so be it if you get the right return.
Your window is open as long as Skeens and Jones look to be this good and stay healthy. That is probably a finite period of time. It is a finite period of time because they're only under team control for a certain amount of time. I'd say you try to exploit that window while it's still open because eventually it will slam shut again.